two kinds of breakups. One is messy and full of yelling. The other is just a long, awkward silence until someone finally slams the door. For the US and Europe, it's definitely the second kind. Last week, Donald Trump made it official. He announced his new round of tariffs, and Europe did not walk away unscathed. 20% on all imports, 25% on steel, aluminium and cars. That's what Europe got. And since then, Europe has been mulling on the next steps. Do they hit back with more tariffs, or do they talk their way through this? Their first choice was negotiation. Europe offered a zero-for-zero tariff pact. Essentially, a no-tariff trade deal. This was for industrial goods.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered zero-for-zero tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal, so we keep it on the table.
Europe is one of America's biggest allies and trading partners. In 2023, the European Union exported $500 billion worth of goods to the US. $500 billion. In 2024, it was the largest single market for US exports. So the deal made perfect sense for both sides. And even Trump's first buddy backed it. I'm talking about Elon Musk. He says he hopes for zero tariffs between the US and Europe.
I'm hopeful that there can be a very close relationship with America and Europe. I'm hopeful, for example, with the tariffs, that at the end of the day, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America.
So Europe had the tentative deal. They were willing to negotiate. They hoped that Trump would take the bait. But the US president was not interested.
It's got to be fair and reciprocal. It's got to be fair. It's not fair. We have a deficit with the European Union of $350 billion. And it's going to disappear fast. And one of the reasons and one of the ways that that can disappear easily and quickly is they're going to have to buy our energy from us because they need it. They're going to have to buy it from us. They can buy it. We can knock off $350 billion in 1 week.
Trump is not chasing zero tariffs. He's chasing a smaller trade deficit. And he wants it done quickly. So when Europe showed up with a deal, Trump barely blinked. It doesn't fix the deficit, so he doesn't care. And that leaves Europe with just one card left to play: retaliation.
Then we have seen that the countries who try to ease the conflicts beforehand with the US and hoped for a reduction of tariffs or being excluded from tariffs are wrong. This has not happened. So I can only say to the European partners, we have to stay united. If you try to solve the problem on your own, this will not be successful.
So the EU is preparing to answer in kind, but not all member states agree on how. They have a few options in front of them. One is reciprocal tariffs. The EU is planning to impose tariffs on a list of American goods. This includes diamonds, motorcycles, tobacco, agricultural products, and many others. Europe also planned to tax American whiskey, to impose a 50% retaliatory tariff on American whiskey, but they have dropped that plan for now. That's the first option. The second option is a digital tax. The EU wants to target American big tech. Most of them have a wide footprint in Europe, but they pay very little in terms of taxes. Europe wants to change that, and they are proposing a hefty digital tax. The third option is being called a trade bazooka. It's called an ACI, an anti-coercion instrument, ACI, anti-coercion instrument. Europe first adopted it in 2023. They've not used it since, but now they're not shying away from it. Using the ACI gives Europe greater powers to respond to any trade coercion. They can restrict US companies in Europe. They can stop them from getting public tenders. They can limit investment in US services and even protect intellectual property rights.
We are not in a business to going, let's say, cent for cent or tit for tat or dollar for dollar, but we of course would consider what are all the other instruments which we have on the table.
But Europe is not drawing the line here. They're willing to go all the way, including ditching Visa and Mastercard. Both Visa and Mastercard are American-owned global payment networks. They don't actually issue the cards, but that's how any transaction really happens. If you pay by a Visa card, the transaction travels through Visa's network. The European Central Bank president wants to ditch this. She wants the bloc to be financially independent and to use a European alternative to Visa and Mastercard. It won't be an easy task, but it goes to show how desperate Europe is to decouple. America and Europe have a long shared history. They have a robust transatlantic alliance. For years, they were fundamentally on the same team. But now there's a clear rift. Europe sees tariffs as a stab in the back, something that may have permanently damaged that relationship. Now, make no mistake, the EU does not want a trade war. The consequences will be too severe. So they will probably talk. Negotiation is in the bloc's DNA. But if Trump keeps twisting the knife, it won't be long before Brussels reaches for that bazooka.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.